up everybody, it's JP Blends and I'm bringing you a tutorial. It's going to be a high fade, it's going to be scissor trim on top and a beard lineup. Alright, so first thing I do is I grab my Fabulous Gold FX skeleton trimmer and I'm setting in the bald line. You want to do this really neatly because this is going to be the baseline of your haircut. You want this to be really neat, and then the rest of the haircut is going to come out just like that, really neat. However this initial bald line comes out, that's how the rest of your haircut is going to come out. If it comes out sloppy, it's going to come out sloppy. If it comes out uneven, it's going to come out uneven. So right here, I'm just grabbing my Oster Model 10 and I'm removing all that bulk from below the bottom line, and I recommend using a detachable clipper with a 5/0 blade, because if you use your trimmer or anything else, it's going to take a long time, and if you use your trimmer, it's going to dull. Your trimmer is not going to let you give people sharp hairlines in the future. So I recommend getting a detachable clipper like this with a 5/0 blade, and it's going to help out a lot. It's going to speed up your haircuts quite a bit for sure. So, or if you don't have a detachable clipper like this, I recommend just grabbing your blending clippers, closing the lever all the way, and removing the bulk like that. Alright, so next thing I do is I grab my Bronze Series 9 shaver and I'm just removing all that stubble, making it razor bald, and I'm leaving about an inch from that bottom bald line. And this is because I want to make a nice gradient transition between the bald skin and the rest of the fade. If you go up to that bald line, it's going to be really hard to remove that bottom line. It's going to look really choppy and just really ugly. It's going to look like a harsh line right there. So once you get to that inch that you leave of space, you're going to want to flick up. You're going to want to lightly flick up like that. Like I'm barely pressing down right there. I'm just flicking up, and that's what you want to do. And if that doesn't work, then you want to lightly press down on that transition, but go down like that. You see, so from top down, go like that, from top to bottom, just like that, and then just play around with it. You can pepper it too, just as long as you see that the transition is smooth, then you're set to go right there. Just it's in the details. So right here I got my Wahl Magic Clips, and I got the lever all the way open. These Wahl Magic Clips, I put the ceramic blade on it, and man, these are fire, man, for real. So you wanna set in that initial guideline about half an inch to an inch. Since this is a high fade, we have a lot of room to work with. You just want to go over it multiple times, make sure all the hairs are the same length. You want to make it real neat. And so right here, I close the lever all the way, and I'm going about halfway. I'm pushing that bald line up about halfway. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to push that bottom line up about halfway. It's okay. Just trust the process. If you see a little bit of a line still there, you want to just grab your trimmers, and then with the corner, you want to blend it out. It's very important that you just use the corner. All right, when you're blending, you just want to use the corners, and that's the trick. So right here, I grab my lever and I put it halfway, and I'm bumping the bottom line up to the top of the section we created, just with the corners. Remember, we're blending here, so make sure you're just using the corner of the blade, and you keep cutting. Make sure to take your time, and this is a process for sure. So you don't want to flick too much. You kind of just want to blend with the corner, keep the blade flush to the scalp, and don't dig in, because if you're digging in, and that's going to be unpleasant for the client. Just you want to lightly blend that line out. And it's okay if you go past the section that we created, because you're going to see in the next step that I'm going to grab the lever all the way open, and I'm going to just bump the top section just a little bit. See, so I got my lever open right here. I'm just bumping it up a little bit, and you want to make sure that it's even all the way around. So if you bump it up a little bit on the back, you want to bump it up a little bit all the way around, all across that guideline. The next step right here is going to be, I'm going to grab that one all the way open, and I'm going to put in my next guideline. And same thing with this right here, you want to do about an inch or maybe like 3/4 of an inch. It's up to you how spread out you want your blend to be. Just remember that the longer your guidelines or the bigger your guidelines, the more spread out the blend is going to be. Alright, so I got that half guard open, and I'm just using the corner, and I'm going right underneath where I left off with that one guard all the way open. Alright, so right here I got the half guard halfway closed, and I'm closing it little by little, so I'm going right underneath where I left off in the previous step with that half guard all the way open. And then right here I closed it up all the way, so I'm just going right underneath that, so I'm blending down. So first it goes the one guard all the way open, so that's what we set the initial guideline with, and then the half guard all the way open right underneath that, and then you close the half guard halfway underneath that, and then you close the half guard all the way and you go right underneath that. So now we're setting in the next guideline with the two guard all the way open, and you're making sure that the guideline is neat and even all around the head. And with this guard right here, I'm trying to come off the head. I'm not trying to dig in. I'm just trying to like go up and not into the head. And I'm basically closing up the two guard right here and going right underneath where I left off. So we're also blending down right here. And then next thing is grab the 1.5 guard all the way open, going right underneath where I left off with the two guard closed. So we're just blending down again, and we're just hitting that dark area right there with the corners. Make sure you cut the hair in every single direction that it grows in against the grain. You're using your corners, and right here I'm closing up the 1.5 guard, just going right underneath where I left off. You don't want to pass where you already cut. You want to just go right underneath where you left off. It's okay if you go to where you left off, but never pass where you left off. You want to have a little space. And then right here I'm just doing some detail work with the one guard open. As I can see, there was still some dark areas, so I'm just kind of flicking up using the corners to detail, and I dropped all the way down to my half guard open, and I'm just using the corner to detail any little dark areas that I see. And this is really gonna be the process or the time to perfect the blend. Any little dark areas that you see, drop down to previous guards and make sure it's really nicely blended. Right here I'm just setting my comb straight up, and then I'm running across anything that hangs over. I'm making it even with the hair that's with that two guard open, and anything that's not even with the two guard open, I'm just cutting it off. So again, I'm just setting it in and making it even with the two guard open, and anything that hangs over that, I'm just cutting it off. So in essence, it's just blending that two guard open to the top. Just take your time when you're using clipper over comb, man, because you could really mess somebody up, give them a patch or a bald spot or something. Last thing you want is your client to be looking like patches over here and everything, man. So just be careful, and it should work out. Just take your time with it and use your imagination, to be honest. Alright, so on this side it's exactly the same thing. I'm just doing exactly what I did on the right side of the head, on the left side of the head. So right here I'm just blending with the half guard. I believe I have it about halfway open, or if not all the way closed, and I'm just blending in with the corners. I can't emphasize how important the corners are, using those corners to just blend and get little dark spots out. I really did notice a difference in the blend when I started using my corners more often. It really brings it to the next level. You never really want to be using your full blade to blend. Always just use the corners. And as you can see right here on the left side of his head, this client, his growth pattern is like forward instead of down. So as you can see, I'm angling the clipper against the growth pattern of his head. That's really important right there. So it's a little tough to blend clients like this, especially when their growth pattern is so exaggerated forward that instead of holding the clipper and blending straight up, you have to be blending against the growth pattern of his head and just going almost like you're blending backwards or something like that. So yeah, just keep in mind when you have clients like that. And right here, I'm just bringing the beard down to number 3, and make sure you give it multiple passes. You don't want to be leaving stragglers or just like very long hairs throughout and stuff. Just make sure you give it many passes. And to blend the beard, it's exactly the same steps as before that we used for the fade. As you could tell, just use the blade open, the one guard open, and in order to blend between those, I use the half guard right here, and then to the more lengthy area, I'm gonna grab the 1.5 guard open. So you just blend down. It's the same exact steps. You can just follow the previous part of the video and it'll work exactly like real good. Don't be afraid to stretch the blend out here on the beard, because you don't want a super compact tight fade on the beard. It looks a little odd, to be honest. But for the lineup for my client, I decided to pin up his hair, and once I pin it up, I comb the little baby hairs down, and then this helps me because I see the lineup a lot better. And from there, I just grab my trimmers and I start in the middle and I work my way over to one side, making sure that it's straight all the way across, and then I just match the other side. If this is like your first time or the first few times lining someone up, I recommend going from the middle and working your way on both sides, a little on the left, a little on the right, a little on the left, a little on the right, and then from there just go to the vertical bar section, which is right above the eye. And then right here, I'm just lining up his beard. I start off with the sides. That's just what works best for me. Right there, as you can see, I line up the sides first, and then that helps me visualize the beard better. And then I just move on to the neck part. And make sure your client's comfortable right here, man. It's real important to make sure that your client is comfortable. You don't want to have them looking up for too long. You're gonna start turning purple. Your neck's gonna get hella tired and stuff. So just keep in mind to tell them to let you know if they need a break or something. So to line up the mustache, I like to keep it as natural as possible on this client because that's the way he asked for it. So there's two sides to the mustache line. There's the bottom and then the top. And since I like to keep it natural for both the bottom and the top, I barely line it up. I just trim enough to make it clean so the mustache is not touching his lip or anything. I just create that nice line there, and then I line up the top also really natural, barely even touching that line. So right here, I'm beginning to do some scissor work, some shear work on my client. Basically just start all the way in the front, and then I trim 1 finger length, and I'm bringing that piece of hair or patch of hair all the way back, and I'm just using that as my guide, and I'm basically just aligning all the hair with that initial guide by bringing it slowly back. I grab section by section that's right behind that initial guide, and I grab the next section behind the previous section, and then the next section behind the previous section. So I'm just using the initial guide to work my way all the way back. And right after I finish off with the working my way back, I like to go back and just cross check, make sure everything's even on the client's head, just to make sure I didn't leave any longer sections or anything like that. As you can tell right here, I'm just checking for any little sections that might have been left behind. And once I'm done with this, I like to dust off my client. This is really important. You don't want to have your client real itchy and stuff throughout the haircuts. Make sure you dust off your client, especially if you're going to take any pictures or any videos after the cut. You want to make sure you want to get all those neck hairs everywhere. It's all in the details. This is what's going to separate you from different barbers, because trust me, clients, they notice the little details, man. And make sure you apply a generous amount of aftershave afterwards. You don't want to have your client come back with the old bumps and stuff, man. So alright, this is the cut. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We post every Sunday 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm out.